Was it few minutes ago? I saw one picture on FB. Everybody just somebody was commenting. Thank God Nigeria is not like Zimbabwe, where they are suffering, and people have to gather with one generator to be charging their phones. I felt bad. I said, why are we always thinking so small? That is, they've brainwashed us to believe that we can be like Zimbabwe, or we should be happy that we are better than Zimbabwe. Okay, let me even talk about Zimbabwe a little. Zimbabwe have some natural resources like gold, platinum, lithium, diamond, chrome. And the mining sector of Zimbabwe contributes much more to the GDP and export uh, businesses of Zimbabwe. Then their population size is 17 million. It's actually 16 point, but let's just assume it is 17 million. Then their area landmark or square is 386,850 kilometers square. Then come back to Nigeria that you are comparing with them. Nigeria population is over 232.8 million. 232 our population. Meanwhile, Zimbabwe population is 17 million. The Nigeria population is 232 million 800. Okay, 232 million 800,000. Then our land size is 923,770 kilometers square. That is three times tripled the land size of Zimbabwe. Then when you now come down to resources, we have natural gas, we have tin, we have iron, we have coal, we have limestone, we have niobium, we have lead, we have zinc, and we have arable land. What is arable land? Farmable land, a land that is suitable for farming and can be cultivated anytime, any day, irrespective of the season. Just have water. If you can do irrigation, we don't even need what irrigation to get our land to produce for us. So with all these resources, you are comparing yourself with a country like Zimbabwe. It's actually a shame when I see people say, okay, a country of our population size bigger than them three times, a country with our kind of resources more lucrative than others. Let's stop thinking about that nonsense comparison, and let's stop thinking small. Let me just put it that way. They've brainwashed us, they've impoverished us to the point that we no longer think big, we now think smaller. We don't think rightly anymore. Our comparison we should be comparing ourselves with Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates. Are you getting it? Not this kind of little small country. Someone will not tell you Niger is better than Nigeria. Oh no, Nigeria is better than Niger. Nigeria is better than Cotonou. Nigeria is better than all those small countries of Africa. We are far bigger than them in terms of resources, in terms of population, in terms of landmark. Until we start thinking rightly, or until this country or our leaders begin to allow wealth to spread evenly or evenly distributed to Nigerians, some of us will not stop talking, will not stop complaining from our small room and our small office. Are you aware that in some nations of this world, that does not have the kind of resources that we are having, that we are commanding in this country, are paying their citizens monthly? Are you also aware that some nations, they make provisions for the elderly? So like you, and when your parents are old, you are the one taking care of them, caring for them, doing that. Yes, we are taught or we are trained to do that. But in other nations of the world, there are homes of the elderly where these people are being catered to. They are being paid. But all the burden in Nigeria lies on immediate family. Are you also aware that there are healthcare system in some nations of this country? So you should be comparing us with those people because they have the same kind of resource that we are having, and it was being managed by them. The healthcare system of some countries is 0% for their citizens, almost 0%. They pay little or nothing, but here we pay for everything. Are you also aware that food are being subsidized in some countries so that people can easily have access to food? But what do we get here? And somebody is telling me, thank God we are better than Zimbabwe. The next you will hear about them, or you hear them saying that most of these civilized countries, got their independence before us. That's what you hear them say. We should just bear with time, things will turn around, we should just be patient. These people we tend to compare ourselves with that are doing better or doing bigger than us. Most of them, they got their independence much more, as in long time ago before Nigeria. Let me advise you something if you don't know. Or when next you hear something like that, let them know that yes, our independence is 63 years ago. As those people's independence, when they got their independence, 63 years after their independence, their judges were not collecting bribes. They were not collecting land and houses. They were not collecting dollars to twist judgment in favor of the highest bidder. Those countries, they want us to say, they are telling us that their democracy, their independence. Okay, is it their independence? Is quite a long time. It took them time to get to that point. Let them know that when they were 63 years, their independence was 63 years. Their judges were not twisting judgment in favor of the highest bidder. Also make them to understand that during their stated independence, their president, their governors, their ministers, their chairmen were not stupendously richer than the citizens of their country. At 63, they were not parading with securities and heavy-duty cars while allowing their people to languish in poverty. At 63, their leaders were not revoking lands of perceived political enemies and the poor men or women and be allocating them to themselves. At 63, their senators were not rubber-stamped. They were not approving everything presented to them by the president. The president were turned down for the fact that those things they were presenting is not meeting the needs of the citizen. They were turned down. They were not rubber-stamped. But what do we see here? The case is different. So I expect us to think better and bigger. So until we begin to have judges who will not twist judgment in favor of the highest bidder, until we begin to speak truth and our leaders are beginning to ensure that there's even distribution of wealth, it is not centered on them alone, we will still remain where we are. Until we fight corruption to a standstill where nobody is being favored in the court of law when found guilty of corruption charges. Even if we are 100 years, Cotonou and Ghana will still be better than us. It's not about the number of years that we got our independence. It's a function of the leadership of this country. They are so rich, they are so comfortable that they don't care about you. They make more money, they make more profiting from your poverty. Until we have leaders who are having a change of mind, they'll be contented with their salary, they'll be contented with their allowances, not dragging contracts with street men and street women, not dragging offices, not making policies that will only favor them, but to favor the entire country. Do we have such leaders? Complaints like this will continue. Even if we are 100 years, they'll still be telling you, don't worry, America got their independence over 1 century, over 2 centuries, over 3 centuries. France got their independence over this number of years. Is it by the number of years that people got their independence, or your leadership style? I'm gonna take care of it. I'm gonna do it.